Okay, so it's a foggy day and I have my Olympus Digital ED 40 to 150 millimeter zoom lens on the G7, and of course I've got a forward action camera and a rear action camera to record myself. I'm just taking the thing out for a few shots. I'm also using the remote for the G7 in order to prevent any shake that comes from the shutter, because when you're working with a zoom lens, of course, the more zoom you have, the more shake affects the sharpness of the image. So even though this lens doesn't have optical image stabilization, it's actually very sharp, and using it on the G7, there's no in-body image stabilization. A lot of people might be worrying, am I going to be able to get that crisp shot? And truth is, I've been using it for a long time and I haven't had any problems at all. And so I think it's just an old school thing where, back in the day, it's not like we had image stabilization back then. Hoping to catch some birds. Very wet. We just had rain around here. And hopefully the animals have come out to play. Alright, so over there, all the way over there, you can see. I don't know how close I'm going to be able to get. The 150 millimeter zoom lens is not very zoomed. It's about, I think about the sweet spot that most people would want in order to get action from far is probably like 600 millimeters. And so full frame equivalent 1200. So I get a little closer. Of course, I'm supposed to be using the shutter, so. Should be worth noting that this setup is actually really heavy, and I probably should have bought a monopod in order to get really sharp pictures. Of course, I'm pretty sure they're aware of me right now, and they're going to try to get away from me. So I'm going to try my best not to disturb them. Just seem like I'm walking by. I just have to get close enough in order for my zoom to be able to reach them. Of course, my aim is to underexpose here. Of course, I want to get all three different birds in this shot if possible. And there looks like the universe is lining up for me. I don't know how close I'm going to be able to get, so I don't want to disturb them in their natural habitat either. These two guys are very clearly friends. So it's very cloudy, it's kind of dim, and I'm going to try to get a sharper image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my aperture at f8 and then put a shutter speed at 160. It should be enough because they're not running around or anything. I'm going to try to get closer, a lot closer. It might scare them off, and it's going to be unfortunate if it does. But I'm going to try to be as gentle as possible. Oh, there they go. So they can tell right there that I was going to try to get closer to them. Unfortunately, I scared them off. I didn't want to do that. I was hoping that they would stay still. But that's just what happens sometimes. Let's continue. In all honesty, I was very lucky to get those photos anyways. I was about 4 meters away, and they were very well zoomed in. Obviously, we want to fill the frame a lot more, but you know, I'm not going to complain about that. So over there, you can see there's a whole bunch of crows just hanging out in the trees. Before they were all together, crows seem to get more spooked out than other kinds of birds, in my experience. In the end, it's better to get as many photos as possible because there is no optical image stabilization. And so I'm going to have to take as much photos as possible, try to keep my hand as still as possible, and get those photos. I'm going to get some of these pine needles. So originally, I was wanting a camera that was about 4K, and in the end, I was researching the visual quality of a lot of action cameras, and I almost even considered a phone, the BlackBerry Priv, just because I wanted good quality 4K. But of course, my monitor is only 1080p, and so I can't really guess the quality of 4K video properly. And in the end, I just kept looking at the G7 videos, and what I noticed is that the foliage was very crisp and clear, whereas in action cameras and other kind of cameras, it was always kind of blurred and smudgy, kind of like a pastel painting or something like that. So in the end, I went with the G7, and I have like no regrets. But I also got the Git2P a little bit later, and I have no regrets about that. The E4K, I don't like it that much, but I work with it. So over there we got a crow. So I stopped the photo down to f5.6 because it's just getting a little dim. I'm gonna try to get close to this crow. I might scare it off again. I'm not going to try to get closer because I don't actually like scaring them off. I think it's like an intrusion of the subject's environment. I think there's a delicate balance between how much a photographer should enter into the space of the subjects. You know, if you're going to a concert or you're at a wedding, you know, it's really inappropriate to use a lot of flash and to kind of get involved in the scene if you're not supposed to. There are some cases where it might be okay, but you'd have to discuss that ahead of time with your clients. So this zoom lens is about 40 to 150 millimeters, which is equivalent to 80 to 300. And because of that, it's really hard to get shots framed in when they're kind of close. And so it's always better to have a wide lens for environments. So here's a photo, 40 millimeters. And you can see, compared to what you'll see in the screen of the E4K, that it's really narrow. And then let's do another shot. That is 150 millimeters. And now I've run out of batteries, so I guess that's the end of this video as well. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you next time.